You ever feel like you're missing something, that you just don't have that magic bullet, the secret ingredient that other people seem to have, where they appear to be thriving in all areas of their life? They've really got it together. They have the family, the career, the income, the overseas trips, and all of the trappings that goes with huge success, that you've come to the conclusion that it's just innate in them, and you miss that innate gene, the success gene. Well, you haven't. All you're missing is something that most of us, actually all of us, start life with. And then along the way, we slowly lose it, and we slowly lose it, and we slowly lose it. And you've just read Daniella's story, and I so resonated it when she shared that with me, mainly because that was me. I was living life not true to who I was. I was this successful CFO of a publicly listed company, and it appeared like on the outside I had it all. My husband and I had just moved into this beautiful house which overlooked Narrabeen Lake in Sydney and was a block away from Narrabeen Beach. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful little cottage, and I loved it. And our son Dan and his girlfriend were living with us at the time, and it was such a great place. But I wasn't always there. Even when I was there, I wasn't there. I was always thinking about work, or I was always going to work. And I truly believed that in order to be successful and to receive that salary, this is what you had to do. And I looked around, and all of my peers were doing exactly the same. But deep within me, I had this, it was like a drum beating. And it was along the lines of, when are you going to start to love your life? When are you going to start to live it? When are you going to start to really embrace you? When are you going to become you? When are you going to love life? When are you going to be this? And I was pushing it down and quieting it through my not so ideal habits of working too much, of always being busy, of eating and drinking way too much, of being angry, because it was easy to be angry. And then a couple of tragic life events happened. The first one happened when we found Dan unexpectedly at our back door in the fetal position, and we really thought he was just unconscious. But unfortunately, he passed away a few hours earlier. But me being in that space of always being busy, of always doing things, I returned to work the day after his funeral. And I up-leveled my game. I was even more there. I was in avoidance, and I didn't even realize it. And again, exactly what Daniella did when her husband passed. She very proudly, when I first met her, said, I went straight back to work, and I never missed one meeting with all of my business clients that I was coaching. And I just carried on for 15 months. But then she said, I'm exhausted. I am so exhausted. And I went, it's because you haven't stopped. It's because you haven't taken time for you. And it's in the stopping that you really do start to find your true answers. Because when we're busy, we can't hear our ideal answers. And our ideal answers come from within. They don't come from without. It's not from other people's guidance. It's from you listening to you and knowing. And because I kept busy for so long, I guess life had to give me another loss event in order for me to stop and to listen, because everything that happens in your life is guiding you to where you're meant to be. It's actually guiding you back to you. we come into this world perfectly authentic. And if you don't believe me, just have a look at any child. You can see them. They are so in love with life, and they're so eager, and they're just amazing. And you watch them within a minute, they can go through so many different emotions: happy, sad, glad. It's amazing. And that's how we all started life. But then we slowly lost who we were. And when I chose redundancy, when my much loved company was merging with another, I looked in the mirror. I can remember standing there, looking in the mirror and going, who are you? I don't even like you. You're so angry. You haven't looked after yourself for years. What are you going to do about it? Because I want to be able to look at you and say, I love you. Can you do that? Can you look in the mirror and say, I love you? Be honest. It's not an easy thing to do without looking at yourself and picking all your flaws, your perceived flaws. Finding you is the most ideal way for you to be able to live and love your life in all areas of your life, to create all your hopes, dreams, and aspirations. That's the secret ingredient you've been missing. And that's what this beautiful Beyond Limitations thread is all about. It's about assisting you to be able to find you again. And the best way to do it is for you to take that journey within. It's not an easy journey, but I can promise you that when you do, you'll be amazed at who you become. You'll be amazed at how you realize you have allowed your limitations to stop you from being who you are. But when you're not authentically you, how can you possibly move beyond any limitations in your life? So each week we'll be sharing our insights, our wisdom, and our journey on how you can also walk a similar path where you truly can become your own best friend. Because let's face it, look at who we are when we hang out with our best friend, the way we talk to them, the way we laugh with them, the joy that they bring into our lives. Just think about it on one thing, the way you talk to them. How do you talk to yourself? Imagine if you spoke to your best friend the same way you speak to yourself at times. What would that be like? Yeah. If you're honest, they wouldn't be your best friend for very long. So I'm glad that you're here watching this and reading this amazing newsletter, because it is time for you to become your own best friend and to move beyond any limitations. And the most ideal step to take in order for that to happen is for you to know that loss of identity is the number one loss we all will experience. And you can move beyond that loss quite easily when you take the time to figure out where you are now and where you would like to be. And then introduce all of the strategies and habits and the action steps so that you can easily close that gap from where you are now to where you would like to be, and close that gap and close that gap and close that gap, and become that person where you can look in the mirror with gratitude and with love and say, I love you.